It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today we have a question from Timothy. Timothy wants to know what I think of university education. He wrote in his comment some disparaging remarks about his personal experience with university education, about how students are protesting and shutting down what the professors are saying, and how it's crazy, contrasting that with why he likes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you roll, you can't hide the truth. Whereas in the modern universities of the world, many people make a very concerted effort to do exactly that, to hide the truth rather than seek it out. Now, an experience with a university is going to vary radically depending on which university you went to or which university you teach at. I've done both. When I first arrived here in Shanghai, I taught at a university. I worked at Shanghai Normal University for a number of years in the Department of International Tourism, which is kind of weird because I originally got hired on to be a Spanish teacher and ended up somehow in the Department of International Tourism, essentially teaching social studies classes about the culture of English-speaking countries. So there you go. So if some of you were confused about the recent video that I put up on the internet, on my YouTube account, titled Oblivion NPC Dialogue, the grocery shopping list or something like that.
If you have to pick up several items at the grocery store, say carrots, eggs, bananas, and milk, you can create a picture in your mind of a giant carrot and hanging from it a banana.
Then I could have a giant milk carton pouring milk over the carrot and banana.
Certainly. Then what would you do with the egg?
I'd visualize an egg-shaped UFO flying across the sky.
There you go.
That video clip comes from a video CD that came along with one of the textbooks that was issued in one of the classes that I taught on American culture. It was a series of videos intended to help the students practice their English.
I forgot to invite Linda. It just slipped my mind. She'll be mad at me.
Well, everyone forgets something sometimes. It's not too late yet. I'll make a phone call. Don't worry.
Thanks. You see, I'm getting forgetful. I think I'm getting old.
Looks like you are, sweetheart.
And this particular series of videos, man, it was like 3 hours of videos about people who apparently existed in this alternate dimension where everybody is suffering from short-term memory loss. Kind of like that movie Memento, where like every minute or so the guy forgets what just happened, so he has to tattoo events on his body so he can be like, oh, I forgot what happened. Oh, I gotta check my tattoos. Oh, yeah, this is the guy I'm looking for. Right? So it's like if every background character in the movie, instead of the main character, has the issue the main character has, and they're constantly forgetting things, and so they're always having these dialogues about short-term memory loss.
It's a pity. You usually have a powerful memory, but you can't help today. What's wrong with you? Your memory seems to be fading early.
I don't know why this was such an important issue in the College of International Tourism, but that was a massive amount of the materials provided by the university to the students to help them practice English so that they could teach tourism. What that has to do with anything, I don't know, but it provided for some unintentionally hilarious comedy, which I re-uploaded. I uploaded that like, 12 years ago, just because I thought it was funny to share with some friends, and I thought some of you guys might appreciate it today, rebranded as the Oblivion NPC Dialogue meme, which I think is hilarious. I love Elder Scrolls. It's a fun game, and you put that music in the background of some people having a silly conversation, it becomes hilarious. Ha! Okay, what was your question? Oh yeah, universities. So, I went to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. It is a church-owned school owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. And it is probably the most conservative university in the United States, if not the world. And I had a few professors who tried to be like the edgy one, who tried to get us to think critically about whatever in ways that you ordinarily would not in a very, very conservative society. And it seems that what a lot of people in the modern world are complaining about is the polar opposite. Is that people are going way out in the other direction and repressing, not just repressing critical thought, but repressing thought at all, which, I don't know, that wasn't my experience, but those are the experiences I'm hearing from a lot of people. When I was a kid, it was pushed, branded into our heads in grade school, in junior high school, in high school. You gotta go to college and get a good job to succeed in the world. There were all these public service announcements on TV telling us, be cool, stay in school, go to college. College is the way out of poverty. And growing up in a small farming town where the economic options were very limited. Either you're a farmer, you grow up on a farm, you inherit a farm, or you end up as one of those creepy dudes who hangs out behind the gas station whistling at the high school girls when they get out of class. Or you're one of the few lucky ones who goes off to this magical land called college, and you make something of yourself and pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and you succeed in life. And I decided, well, I'm not going to inherit a farm from anybody, because I came from a poor family that didn't own land. And I don't want to be one of those creepy guys behind the gas station, so I'm going to go to college, because that is what I expect of myself. That's what TV told me. That's what my mother told me. I said, parents, I grew up with one parent in a single-parent household. I remember when I was a kid and people would often ask me about my parents, plural, and I would be like, it would just eat me up inside, like, I don't have parents, plural. I mean, I have a biological father miles and miles away that I didn't grow up with or know that well or have conversations with or anything like that. But in the modern world, that unfortunately has become more of the norm than the exception, to grow up in single-parent households. That's an aside, but yeah, man. This idea that we need to go to college, in my generation, it was preached to us as absolute truth, and so I went to college, and I took classes, and I had that whole college experience, and afterward I had a really, really hard time finding a job. Because that promise, that well-intentioned promise, go to college and you will succeed, it's not true. I should say it doesn't work just like that. It's not that simple. College can help, but it's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole thing. But we were promised college was the whole thing. It was the whole kit and caboodle. And I learned some very important things about college. I learned to express myself more clearly, to have better intrapersonal communication and relationships with other human beings, to be a more social being, which is really important if you grow up in a tiny little podunk town in Idaho where there are very few human beings, where the cows far outnumber the humans 1,000 to 1. If you want to get ahead in life, it's very much about our relationships with other human beings, because we are social creatures. I was listening to a talk yesterday comparing human behavior to behavior of other primates, contrasting humans with chimpanzees and bonobos monkeys. And the bonobo monkey has a certain behavioral mindset which is like some people, generally people who have a really hard time succeeding in life. People who are more shut-ins and expect the world to take care of them, whereas chimpanzee behavior is more like go out there and get stuff done and make it happen. And you make it happen by relying on the clan. Strength in numbers, strength in the group. And it's a different sort of thing. So that is one thing I picked up from college, is the group mentality can push you in a very positive direction if, and only if, you not only surround yourself with the right people, but if you foster the right type of environment within the group itself. We always talk about the right type of people and the wrong type of people. Oh, those friends are a bad influence on you. These guys are who you need to be talking to. We need to own up to personal responsibility instead of using others as scapegoats. So I taught in a Chinese university for several years, and when I first got there, I expected that, well, I had some crazy expectations about Chinese university students because I'd heard a bunch of crazy, untrue things from Americans telling me that in China, the students are so much more studious than their American counterparts. All they do is study night and day so they can get ahead. And that's kind of how it is in grade school for Chinese students. Maybe in high school, they work really hard before they get to college so that they can get into that college. Once they get into college, however, the overwhelming majority check out. Yeah, okay, I got here. Let me pay for that degree. Now give it to me. Now I'm gone. Now I'm off into the real world to get my job or whatever. Follow the Chinese dream right there. So I was shocked and appalled that Chinese university students were not at the same standard as their American counterparts, not by a long shot. For example, in my university, much like many other universities, the standard procedure was this: if you cheat, you are expelled from the school. If you plagiarize, you are expelled from university. No second chances. You're out. Dishonesty is not tolerated. And so my first class that I teach, I had a bunch of students who cheated and plagiarized, and I caught them red-handed, and I told them, you will fail this class. And they kind of smirked. Didn't say anything, but later my supervisor, the department supervisor, came over and said, you can't fail these kids. And I said, they cheated, they plagiarized, I caught them red-handed. What are you talking about? No, you have to pass them. What? Why? Well, they paid their tuition. So what? They cheated, they plagiarized. You don't understand Chinese culture. Apparently not. And this was a repeating pattern. It got to the point where if I tried to enact consequences for bad behavior, for cheating, for plagiarism, for never showing up to class, never taking a single test, never turning in a single homework assignment, I wasn't allowed to fail these students. True story, I was not allowed to give them a failing grade. Because if I did, I was saddled with all this extra work to ensure that they had to pass. Anyway, regardless. And it got to the point where I was like, man, this is a mess and I don't want to be part of it. So you may notice I'm not working at a Chinese university anymore. Good riddance to that noise. So the experience you have in a university will vary radically depending on where you go. Sometimes there will be troubles with academics. Sometimes there will be troubles with socio-political movements existing outside of the actual educational experience, which I think is what our friend was describing. It's been, what, like 20 years since I was a university student. And I've heard some crazy stories about things happening out there in the world. A professor says the wrong pronoun and suddenly he's fired. Or a professor suggests, hey guys, instead of accepting this as an absolute fact, let's use critical thinking, let's use the scientific method, and evaluate this from a more academic perspective. And that guy loses his job. That stuff happens. That sucks. That's unfortunate. What do I think about that? Boo! What was your university experience like? How much did that help you in the real world? I'm going to tell you about a friend of mine, a dude named Brent, one of my best friends in the entire world. Man, it's been a while since I saw Brent or talked to him or emailed him. I need to get around to doing that. But one day we were walking through the Fine Arts building looking at some art exhibitions around there, and Brent said something along the lines of holding his arms out wide. Welcome to your education. I'm like, yeah, I get it. We're in an institute of higher learning. Cool. That's what I'm all about right now. He's like, no, you don't understand. Welcome to the real university. The university of life! And I laughed, but I had an epiphany a few moments later, which is that real education isn't about paying a tuition and going to a campus and sitting in front of professors and following their syllabus and checking all the boxes and getting the right grades. It is about what you do in life, how you pass your time, how you spend it, how you use your critical thinking skills, not just to write a paper to impress a professor, but to make something happen in your own life to affect good in your life, in your family's life, in your community, in the world around you at large. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.